I almost don't know what to say because the past fortnight has been so unreal. I feel like the entire world has been turned upside down and I'm still trying to process everything. I'm sure you feel the same way and I really hope that you're doing okay. Hi folks and welcome to the Kelpie Knits podcast. This is episode 6. My name is Ailey, I'm the yarn dyer behind Kelpie Knits Yarn and I live in Inverness in the Scottish Highlands with my husband Kieran and our puppy Odin. You can find my yarn over at kelpieknits.com, although I have taken the decision to close the shop temporarily with the current situation. I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit, but you can have a look at the website. There are gift vouchers available, but yarn is not being shipped at the moment. Well, it's right there in the intro. I don't think we can have a podcast without addressing coronavirus. I've been trying to think of the right way to talk about it because I feel like everyone is so sick of hearing about it and no one wants to talk about it any more than they have to because it's taken over every part of, well, certainly my life. I don't know about you. But it feels wrong to have a podcast without talking about it because it's impacted on my business, it's impacted on my knitting, and I think it's important to talk about and to share your experiences and what you're struggling with and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that, but I don't really want the whole podcast to be about COVID-19 and the fun that we've all been having because of it. I would say on the whole, Kieran and I have been very, very lucky. We've been doing okay. I have had to close the business temporarily. I'm not selling yarn at the moment, which has been difficult, but it was a decision that I made quite early and I'm glad I did. I think it was best for me, it was best for Kieran, and it's helped keep us safe because I haven't had to be going back and forth to the post office all the time. I was a little unwell at the start of this week. I had some symptoms that could be corona-like, but honestly I don't think that I actually had the virus. I think I had a different kind of bug and the symptoms were kind of similar. I feel totally fine, nothing to be remotely worried about, but I'm now staying completely inside for the 14 days since I started showing symptoms, just to be on the safe side, because you never know. Although I was fine and the symptoms were mild and I just needed a few days where I kind of stayed in bed and didn't do much, I don't know if that's actually the virus or not, and I don't know who I might come into contact with if I go to Tesco for the shop or whatever, so I'm not risking it, staying inside. And that was one of the reasons I was glad that I closed the shop early than I probably had to, because it meant there was no disruption. I didn't have orders that I had taken in the past week or so that had to be out, so that was a bit of a relief. But that's also why there was no podcast last weekend. I was feeling really rotten, really run down, and just didn't feel like speaking on camera at all. I don't think I would have been much fun last week, so hopefully this will make up for it. Unfortunately, I also don't have a lot of knitting from over the past couple of weeks, so even though this is already a week later than it should be, I don't have a huge amount of knitting to show for my time. I find that with a lot of people though, a lot of knitters online have been struggling to concentrate and struggling to stay focused on projects, and I think everyone is a lot more anxious and stressed than we maybe thought we would be. Certainly when I get stressed, I can't concentrate on things for very long. I can't commit to getting things done and I can't stick to deadlines very well, so it's been tricky to keep up with knitting. I've only just gone back into it. I've been knitting a bit more the past week or so, but I think a lot of other people are feeling that way too. Like I said though, on the whole we've been okay because both Kieran and I work from home anyway. There hasn't been a huge disruption to the way that our lives run. It hasn't been a huge shift in our everyday routine because we are at home quite a lot of the time with work, so having to stay at home a bit more now isn't outrageous. I miss my family. I miss getting to see them regularly, and it feels quite strange to live quite close to so many of them and not get to see them. That's been probably the hardest bit, is not getting to go see my granny, and my dad lives just around the corner and it's weird not being able to just go and see him and not see my mum and my sister. It's strange, but I'm hoping that it'll all be worth it when we come out the other end. We can all get together and things can be a bit more normal again. But I'm staying positive. I've been trying to think of things to do to fill up my time, and try to think of things that I can finish and accomplish in this time where we're at home that will make me feel good at the end, that I'll feel like I have something, even just a small thing, to show for the time that we've had to spend at home. And the first thing that I decided I was going to do was upcycle my dressing table. It's a cheap pine one that I got in a charity shop, I think for about £15. It was really cheap. And I've never really been completely happy with how it looks. So I decided that this would be the time that I would upcycle it. I would change the way it looks and make it look more appealing. So I've been sanding the whole thing, I've been painting, I bought new drawer handles to put on it, and I think it's going to be really nice when it's done. I can't wait to see the finished piece, because I've never done this before. It's not really my area of expertise, so I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I'm really, really pleased that at the end of all of this I'll have a new dressing table to look at and feel proud of the time that I spent at home. We also rearranged our living room, which is why the podcast setup looks a little bit different to normal. The podcast chair is sitting over there now by the window, and although I tried filming in it initially, it just doesn't look right. So no more podcast chair, now we're on the podcast couch, which will make Odin happy actually, because that's become his favourite place to sit, because he can sit on the chair and he can look out the window down to the street and see everything that's happening, so he's quite happy. The other thing that I've been doing a lot since going into lockdown is playing Animal Crossing on my Nintendo Switch. I have never had an Animal Crossing game before. It's one that I had looked at for quite a long time, but I didn't have a DS for quite a long while, and I don't know, this is the first opportunity I've had to properly get an Animal Crossing game, and I'm obsessed with it. I play it pretty much every day, not much every day, but every day. And it's so soothing and calming and just nice. I really, really enjoy playing it. So that's probably the reason why there isn't a huge amount of knitting to show you, because I've been dividing my time between sanding the table outside and playing Animal Crossing, and then just knitting in the time I have between that. I feel good for it. I don't regret it, but it's probably not the most productive use of my time. If you play Animal Crossing, if you have the Switch and you have the new Animal Crossing game, then feel free to send me a message, let me know what you're up to, or leave a comment saying what you've been enjoying about the game. I know that trading and visiting other people in the game is a big part of it. I don't fully understand it, but if you do know how to do that, or you're interested in playing online, however it is that you're supposed to do that, please send me a message. That would be really good fun, and we can interact with each other during our respective lockdowns and have some fun playing a game. I do have a Kelpie Cal winner for March. The submissions were very overwhelming. I think with everyone being at home a lot more people were turning to their stash to see what they could make without having to go anywhere or order anything in. So I think the Kelpie Cal has come at the perfect time for a lot of people. So thank you if you entered. Thank you if you're new to the Ravelry group or new to the podcast. I really appreciate it. And please keep joining in. I opened up the April thread for submissions, and I really hope that we can make April the most submitted to month. So the most projects in that month. So make sure you're involved for April. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like the previous months, I used a random number generator to pick our winner for the Cal. It's the easiest way. I think I would have a really hard time if I had to handpick someone every month. It just wouldn't work, because the projects are so lovely and everyone has a little story about when they bought the yarn or how long they've had it, and I love getting to read it and I love getting to see how talented you are. So random number generator is definitely the way to go. But our winner is M's Little Nest with her Choose My House socks. I think that's the right name, I hope so. She made a pair of odd socks in the Harry Potter house colours, and you, M's Little Nest, have won a subscription to the Kelpie Knits Yarn Club. You're going to get the April colourway, which is inspired by Poison Prince by Amy McDonald. And you've won a lovely skein of yarn from Paw Ply Yarn Company. The colourway is called Land of Love, and it's a gorgeous pink and red mix. Beautiful yarn. So as soon as I can, I'm going to get that shipped out to you. I'm not really sure at the moment when that will be. Everything's kind of up in the air at the moment. But I will get that sent out to you as soon as possible. Congratulations. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I don't have a huge amount of knitting to show you. Knitting has just been a bit much for the past wee while. I haven't been able to concentrate on it, and I think there was so much else going on in my brain, I just didn't have room. But I have been working on a couple of things. My Kyler shawl and my North of the River blanket have kind of been a bit dormant. I'm completely happy with them, I will come back to them, but I haven't really touched them very much the past couple of weeks, so there's not really anything to show you there. If you're interested in these patterns, then head over to the Ravelry group. I've got all the information there for you. I haven't really touched them in the past couple of weeks. However, I do have 3 works in progress that I can share with you. A couple I think you've seen, but there's at least one that you haven't. My first work in progress I'm going to show you is my Flax Light jumper. I've got this in just a little pouch. I think it's a Harry Potter one. I think I got this in Primark. It's not really a knitting bag, but I'm using it as a kind of project bag. But inside is my Flax Light sweater that I'm knitting in my Kelpie Nights colourway. Now, this might be a bit awkward. I finished the body. I should say I'm making the newborn size of the Flax Light to have as a sample knit for Kelpie Nights, and this is designed by Tin Can Knits. But this is a fairly common pattern. I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard about it. But yeah, I finished the body, got all the way down, and there's a little bit of colour pulling, but I'm not mad at it. I think it's quite nice. I don't think it's too outrageous. There's, on the back, or I've decided it's the back, I can't remember if it actually is, there's one bright pink stripe right the way across. Oh, and a bit on the front actually, it's been spiralling. So just down there and down there, but I don't mind it. I think it reminds me a bit of the Northern Lights, the way that they run across the sky in those big streaks. So I quite like it. And I'm on the first sleeve at the moment. I haven't gotten very far. I've basically just picked up the underarm and I'm about to start the sleeve. I really like this garter stitch section. I think, can you see? The garter stitch section that runs down the shoulders and the sleeves. I think that's really simple but effective. It gives it that little bit of interest, and I've been really enjoying seeing that come together. I only missed one on one side here. I don't know how well you can see that actually. Here. But it's no big deal. It's just a sample knit anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, this has been really good fun. I've been picking this up just whenever I feel like it and doing a few rows. But a very satisfying knit. I'd recommend this if you have any presents that you need to gift to someone. If you know someone who's expecting or has a baby on the way, then definitely give this a go. It's a great way to use up a skein of leftover fingering yarn, or you could blend it together if you have a few scraps, because it doesn't take very much, especially in the newborn size. Yeah, this is my Flax Light sweater. My second work in progress has been a bit of a battle, to be honest. I've posted about it on my Instagram, but I decided to start a Love Note sweater, also by Tin Can Knits, but this one was going to be for myself, so a little bit bigger than in the newborn size. And I was really excited about it. I cast it on in my Aran colourway, and it was going great. I was alternating the skeins, I was being really good, there was no pulling, no nothing. I did muck up the lace a little bit, so there was a bigger gap between one of the repeats than there should have been, but honestly no big deal. But I had dyed myself a batch of Aran to make this project, and I dyed up 3 skeins, and then I decided that I would get so far through it and decide how many more I needed to dye so that I wasn't wasting stock. And that was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. I won't be doing that again, because for some reason, I don't want to get too much into it, but the way that I dye Aran depends very much on a few factors, and I haven't been able to replicate the colourway for like 2 or 3 attempts now. I've been trying to dye batches and it hasn't been working out properly, which worries me because I don't think I'm going to be able to offer Aran as a colourway anymore unless I can fix it. I didn't have any more yarn to finish off my sweater. I didn't have anything that I could fade it with that would look right, or I don't know, because it's a jumper I've really wanted for so long, I didn't want to half-ass it. I didn't want to kind of do just what would make it work, because I want to wear it and I want to be happy with it. So I decided to completely frog it and start again, which was difficult, and I ended up leaving it that night that I frogged it and came back to it the next day before I started it again. But I think this is going to work out better. I'm using a one-of-a-kind colourway that I dyed for a different project initially. This one doesn't have a name, it's just one that I dyed up to see what would happen. I do that quite a lot. I'm keeping it in a new project bag that I bought for myself. This one here. I've got Odin hair on it, I apologise. Isn't it gorgeous? I thought this was absolutely lovely. Now this I actually got from Redbubble. It's a site online that you've probably heard of before. They allow artists to upload their artwork and then they can sell bags, t-shirts, pretty much anything really with that design on it. And I was shopping on Redbubble because I'm hoping to have some things to sell on Redbubble with some unique designs on them for you guys. But I wanted to quality check first. I didn't want to have anything to do with Kelpie Knits associated with this stuff unless it's stuff I'd actually use. So I treated myself to a project bag just to double check that I was happy with it. And I am. It looks really nice. It's very sturdy. It's got a nice gold zip. And the design I went for is really unique and unusual. I'm really happy with it. So stay tuned. That's something that's going to be quite exciting in the future. But we can go back to the Love Note sweater now. So although I got quite far in my first version of this sweater, I haven't gotten hugely far in this yet. This is the colour that I'm using. And like I said, it doesn't really have a name. It's kind of a raspberry chocolate kind of colourway. There's pinks, purples, browns, little flecks of white here and there. It's more of a solid than the Aran colourway, which is why I am not alternating skeins. I don't think I need to for this. It's not really going to pull because the colours are so similar, and I remember the way I dyed this and I think it's going to be fine just knitting it straight. Famous last words, I know, but I'm going to stick with it for now. But this is all I have of the Love Note sweater Mark II. I've done my, we're in a twist. I've done my provisional cast on and just, I think, one increase round, and that's it so far. Not much progress, but I am happy with it. I think the colour is going to come out really nice, and for this I've actually gone down a needle size than the first attempt. When I took it off the needles, I tried on what I had just to kind of double check that things were going okay. And the fabric I had was lovely. It was so drapey and nice because I was using 6mm with the double knit. But when I tried it on, it was just slightly too big. It was loose, but I think I would have had problems with the collar eventually. And then I remembered that not only was it too big when I tried it on, but I would have to block it afterwards to really show off the lace that goes around the yoke. So considering it was already too big and then I was going to have to block it reasonably aggressively, I think, to really show off the lace, it was going to be absolutely massive. So I've gone down a needle size. I'm using 5mm instead of 6, and we'll see how that goes. I really hope that I'm able to make one. I've wanted a Love Note for a very long time. It's one of my Make 9 projects, and I don't know, it was kind of a treat to myself now that we're in lockdown. I thought it would be a nice way to spend the time to go through my Make 9 projects and treat myself to something nice. The last work in progress that I have is something that I'm making for my husband. I gave him a little IOU voucher at Christmas for one knitted good, and it could be whatever he wanted, he could decide. And he finally got back to me with what he wanted, and he looked at the March colourway for the Yarn Club, which was this. Hope you can see that. This is the This is the March colourway for the Great Scottish Playlist Yarn Club, and it was inspired by the song Path to Home by Skerry Vore. So I was using photos of Ullapool, where I grew up, in Wester Ross, to put this colourway together, and he really loves it, and he decided he wanted a hat made out of this. So I let him pick the pattern, and he went for something very simple. He went for a sockhead slouch hat, and this is what I have. Ooh. This is what I have so far. Here we are. So I have all my ribbing finished. It's looking lovely, and it's just stockinette for this one. Really simple, easy. I don't really have to think about it very much when I knit it, which is perfect for the kind of mindset that I'm in at the moment. And I'm really happy with how the colourway is knitting up. I think it's just perfect, and it's exactly what I was hoping for when I put it together. It's kind of stormy and makes me think of the shore and sort of grey weather and being inside. I suppose maybe that's why I'm so attracted to it at the moment, because I'm stuck inside. But very, very happy. And I'm making the extra large size that's in the pattern because my husband has quite a big head. So I'm hoping this will fit him, because even the extra large size was it was just right for him. I'm hoping that this will do the job. As far as works in progress go, that's all I have. I haven't really been all that productive knitting wise. I do want to say here though, in my works in progress, I have been absolutely dying to buy the material and make a metered corner blanket by Pearl Soho. I've been eyeing up the gradient kits and they look amazing. I love them so much, and I'm trying very hard not to buy all of the yarn for them, which is really difficult. Yeah, I don't have that kind of money to spend just on yarn, and the kits for these blankets, I think the small is about $260 and the large is $300. And you know, you get quite a lot of yarn in it, but I can't afford it. At all. I can't afford it, but I love it so much, and I really want to make it. I've tried dyeing up a few skeins. I think I'm going to try and do it in parts. I've tried to make my own version of the gradient kits with the kind of tones that I want, but I don't know. It wasn't very successful when I tried it the other night. I think they'll be going up on the site eventually as one of a kinds, because they're just not quite, they're beautiful colours, but they don't fit with the gradient that I need for this blanket. So we'll see how it goes. I really want to knit one, but I've never knit a metered corner before, so I should probably learn how to do that before I commit to at least like 10 skeins of yarn for a blanket made entirely of metered corners. If you've made this blanket, can you please let me know how you got on, because I'm dying. I'm so desperate to make one. Maybe I could live vicariously through you if you've made one and I can see your finished blanket, and that will keep me happy for a little while. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just want a big project because it's lockdown. Maybe that's all this is. Maybe I'm not actually that desperate to have one. Maybe I'm just desperate for a project to do. No. I'm not buying any yarn, and I'm certainly not buying $300 worth of yarn. That's not going to happen. My finished objects section is even thinner than my works in progress section because I haven't been knitting, so I haven't finished stuff. But I do have one to show you, which you saw in the last podcast episode, I believe. This is my finished aperture cowl by Rebecca Mackenzie. Here we go. Ta-da! Isn't it gorgeous? I absolutely love it. It's a really simple lace pattern, but it looks superb and I really, really love it. This is the back. So it's a cowldana, so it sits a bit differently to your traditional cowl. This is the back. But it's really, really comfortable, and I feel like it's a nice length that's not too long. So this is going to be perfect for sort of spring weather where it's warming up, or certainly in Scotland it's getting warmer, but it's not warm. Like the other day we had really nice sunshine in the afternoon, but it was snowing that morning. So it's kind of in between, and I feel like this would be perfect. Oh, I should probably show you it on, shouldn't I? it's very comfortable. It's really easy to wear, especially under coats. I feel like I struggle with scarves sometimes because they get very bunched up under the coat, or they like bulge around your chest and they're quite uncomfortable. This would be perfect to just sling on under a jacket. And it's such a nice shape, and because it's made in fingering weight, it's really light. It's not constricting, it's not too much, it's just wonderful. So I'd highly recommend this pattern if you're looking for something to do with a single skein of fingering weight yarn that you maybe bought at a show, or you bought just because you loved it but you didn't really have a plan for it. This is a great pattern for that. And Rebecca's an amazing designer, so please go and support her if you can. Her patterns are lovely and very easy to follow, very easy to knit, and I'm really happy with the result. I think it's really lovely. So that's it for knitting content this week. I have a bit of shop news, but if you're not interested in that, then it was really lovely having you. Please stay safe, please stay positive, and look out for the people around you. I'll see you in a fortnight. The only shop news really is that the shop is closed. I decided quite early on, as coronavirus started escalating, I decided quite early that the shop would be closing. And initially I was just going to be posting out Yarn Club orders, but the situation kept progressing and I decided that even those would be postponed for now. I'm still taking orders for the Yarn Club, and if you have ordered one, you will still get it. I promise you will. Just, I don't know when. I don't know when it's going to be reasonable to start making regular trips to the post office again. But don't worry, you will get your Yarn Clubs. It was a really difficult decision to close the shop. It's something that I really enjoy and I really love to do, so it's hard to put everything on pause for now, especially because so many people are knitting more and so many people need positivity right now, and sometimes that comes in the form of yarn in the post. And I'm really sorry that I can't be part of that. I would love to be, but it's just not something that is feasible for me at the moment. The shop isn't closed forever. I am going to return. I have plenty of stock and plenty of ideas for once things are a little bit more normal again. So please stick around. One of the big changes that has happened at the shop is that gift vouchers are now available. Through a process of things with Shopify, they have made gift vouchers available to people who only have a basic Shopify shop. So now I can offer gift vouchers to you. So if you are keen to support my business, if you're able to do that, that would mean the absolute world to me right now, because everything has come effectively to a stop. But the main thing right now is just to look after yourself, keep yourself healthy, take care of the people around you, and try to be kind and try to be positive. This is temporary, and isolating for now and being inside and being kind of stuck on your own for now means that more people will be able to enjoy life once the lockdown is over. And you staying inside helps protect people like my granny and my auntie and other people who are particularly high risk. So thank you, and know that I'm thinking about you, and I hope that you're safe and I hope that you're well. That's it for this week's podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this has perked you up a little bit. I am trying to film little bits and pieces from through my day, just not about knitting, just my day in general. Most of that is Odin related, but I am considering compiling these once I have enough of them for a video and putting them together so that you can see and get a bit of a glimpse into what life is like here, or even if you just like watching Odin, there's plenty of that too. But I will see you in a fortnight. Like I said, please look after yourself, stay safe, and keep knitting. I think that's the best thing that any of us can do right now.